Hello YouTube, hello. Back again with another one. This time, we have another top 5 character. Another one. I don't know if we already did one. Did we? I forgot. But yeah, Feng this time. It's Feng. Very strong character. Most likely top 1 right now, if not top 2. I think it's at least top 2. It's either Dragunov or Fang in my opinion. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, this character is very strong. I mean very strong. And I think he's gonna continue to be strong for a while. Most likely for a while. So let's talk about him, right? And talk about the things that we should be concerned about when facing him. One thing is our general game plan is Kaz is still gonna be the same, with electric keep out being good. You know, you don't want Fang coming close to you. But Fang can still come close to you with high crushing tools like down 2 for example, right? Or down back 3. Like these tools are still very good to come close to you. And stuff like this is also amazing. You know, the wall standing 1 from crouch dash. I can't do it consistently because, you know, I never play Fang, but it's pretty doable. It's very doable. So it's very good. But the game plan electrics are still very good. Just be careful about his high crushing moves. Okay. Full crush down forward 4. This one. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna talk about this one. This is the hell move. 100% I'm gonna talk about. But first, let's talk about Fang and his mids, basically. Right, his best mids consists of down forward 1, which is really good. Back 4, which is also pretty damn good. Headbutt, amazing. And wall standing 1, very good. I think other than that, there's also down forward 4 string sometimes. Down forward 3, which is amazing. And forward 4 2, yeah. Forward 4 2 sometimes as well. I think this is it. Let's slowly start from the start. So down forward 1, right? This is a 14 frame mid. It's a little bit different from a generic one, which is 1 frame slower. But because of that, it's 0 on block. So since this is 0 on block, something like this is a setup. Because that back 1 is a 10 framer, right? Look at this. If you try to interrupt with a jab, for example, this will counter hit you. Of course, you can sidestep this, which is the way you beat stuff like that. But be careful of setups like this, because it's 0. Same thing with like something like this. These are very common setups. Down forward 1, back 4. This will beat your sidesteps, but it won't beat your jabs. So that's why you have to be careful and sometimes sidestep block. But you have to be very quick about it. You only have 12 frames for this, right? So be very careful. These kind of setups are very common, and they're still here after Tekken 7. They were here in Tekken 7 and they're still here. Same with down forward 1 1 2, because you know 0 on jab, or double down forward 1. Excuse me. So yeah, stuff like this, keep in mind. And down forward 1 by itself, it tracks really well to this right side. Actually tracks really well. You can sidewalk it, but side steps are pretty inconsistent. And left side, much less. You can actually sidestep left block, and this will whip. But if you want to punish this, you have to be very quick about it. Especially with a launcher, right? You have to be very precise, basically, when you want to do something like that. Sidestep left block is very good in those kind of situations. But they might start doing something like this as well. Which, you know, also tracks sidestep. But it will not track a sidewalk. So sidewalk left is actually, this is one of the things in Tekken 8 that happened. But since sidestep's a little bit better, you can actually sidewalk this a little bit more consistently. Down back 3. But make sure to not punish this with an electric. You have to do a mid, which is, you know, down forward 1, usually. Down forward 1 2. You can do some other stuff as well, but usually down forward 1 2 is the way to go. Or down back 1. You need a mid. Okay. So be careful about those kind of setups. That's about down forward 1 more or less. You can also backdash after it, which is one of the best options you can do. But as I said, they have like a lot of mix-ups, like this mix-up for steps, this mix-up for buttons. And maybe they'll even do down 4 to just, you know, poke you a bit. So let's talk about down 4 actually immediately after, because it's a little bit different from what I usually do. I usually just talk about mids and then lows. But down 4 is like literally the same move as this. That's why I want to talk about it. So basically think of down 4 as exactly the same move as this on block. So this on hit is exactly the same situation as this on block. What I mean by that is the Feng player will also do this after it, this after it, this after it, or this after it. Sometimes even down 4. Right? These are the options Fang players have. Of course, they can also choose to do nothing, just sidestep, right? But the situation is exactly the same. The frames are exactly the same. So you don't even need to think about it. The only big difference about it is that this has a follow-up and to think about this follow-up. The follow-up is -10. When you block it, you just 1-1-2. Let me actually showcase it. Just so I can show it visually as well. 1-1-2. There we go. So be careful about that. So that's why I wanted to just stray from the normal pattern and talk about down 4, because as I said, same move. It's down 4 to 1 on block. But down 4 to 1 on hit is strong, +6, right? And on counter hit it's even stronger. +36. So thankfully Fang doesn't get anything guaranteed here, but basically you're not gonna press a button. Basically, you're not pressing a button here at all. You're just not. So yeah, be careful about that. Number 1 counter hit, don't press anything. Oh, and I almost forgot, after down 4 to 1 counter hit, there are also a lot of setups that they might do with like this, basically. Down 4-3. Or down 2. This kind of stuff. Basically mix you up. So yeah, be careful about the counter hit property. I guess that's about down 4 to 1. I shouldn't talk about this too much. So down 4 to 1 has the same kind of options, but it's the same kind of situation after 1-2, for example, on block, or 1 on block. They have the same options with this, you know, down back 3. Sometimes sidestep, sometimes backdash, sometimes Kempo. Because Kempo exists. I'm going to talk about Kempo a little bit later. But yeah, more or less those are the options. Now let's talk about back 4. So back 4 is basically a tracking mid. Technically you can sidestep it, technically, right? It's possible to sidewalk it sometimes, but it's basically tracking. I say technically because it's kind of possible, 1 out of a million times maybe, but basically a tracking mid, right? 12 frame tracking mid, -9, unpunishable. Doesn't have a counter property, but does 10 damage, not that much damage, but it's +4. It's very strong. This is a very strong move. The biggest reason it's so strong is because it's block property, even though it's -9 or -8, I don't remember. I think it's -9. -9. Sometimes it becomes -8. Is that it has pushback on block. For example, if you backdash block this, look at that pushback, right? That pushback is big. That means if you press a button, the Fang player might, you know, get a whiff on you, especially if he Kempos or especially if he backdashes. That's what makes this move super good to use and throw out, because not only is it safe, it also has pushback. If it had no pushback, like it would always have like this kind of range. On block, it wouldn't be as bad, but it is that bad. So be careful about that. And mostly it is used for sidesteppers if they want to stay risk-free, because it's a tracking move, as I said. It doesn't have the particles, but it's a tracking move. It's very fast, so it's very hard to sidestep block, or sidewalk block especially, right? And you can't punish it, you can't really do anything against it, unless you have a kick parry. It also has decent range. I think it's like 2.3, something like that. Let me see, 2.3. Either 2.3 or 2.25. I don't remember exactly. Oh, not even. Like, I think it's like a 2 range. I thought it was like 2.2, maybe 2.3, but it's like 2 range. But yeah, it's decent range. You can backdash it, but most of the time it won't work. Like, trust me on backdashing, this is pretty hard. Unless they just throw it out in the neutral. Like if they do down 4 to 1 to down back 4, you can't backdash it. You cannot do it. Same with like this. That's why it's so strong in those situations. Okay. That's back 4. Now let's talk about headbutt, which is also a very strong mid that Fang players can use. So headbutt is a crouch dash move. And 0. This used to be +1, but now it's 0. So 0 on block, forces crouch. You can sidestep after it. And the thing about this move is, it's very similar to the situation after down forward 1 on block, because this is also 0. It's very similar. The big difference here, which is the biggest difference in my opinion, is that this move on hit is +7. It has a countered property as well, which guarantees a stop, which is really, really strong. You know, which is the difference between this. It has better properties on hit and counter it. And on block as well, because it forces crouch. But other than that, the situation is pretty much the same. And I almost forgot that after this on block, they might also be doing this. Like you block this and they might, you know, do this to mix you up. And just spam it sometimes. That was a misinput on forward 1+2. So be careful about that. And I mean, be very careful about that. Because they can also do this and do this. And if they do that and you try to, you know, while staying forward, you are going to get countered. As I said, the options are very similar. Back 4, down 4 to 1, 1, 2, back 1, Kempo stamp, back dash. Very similar. So those are the moves you have to be looking out for. But that's just Fang in general. In almost any situation, those are the moves you have to look out for. Especially Kempo step. Because it just avoids so much. Okay. So that's headbutt, more or less. The weakness this move has is that it's linear. You can sidestep it if you time it correctly. I think sidestep left might be a little bit more consistent than sidestep right. Yep, it is a little bit more consistent. But it has decent tracking if he makes it track. So sidewalking is a bit better than sidestepping. Because if I just delay the crouch dash and then do the 1+2, I'll just make it track a little bit better. So be very, very careful about this move. It's a very, very strong move. Even though it got nerfed a bit, it's 0 instead of +1. It's still very good. Okay. Other than this, there's also down forward 3, which is an amazing mid. One of its best mids in my opinion. It's a normal hit launching mid, 18 frames, right? And this is basically his steel pedal as well, because this hits grounded. See that? That is grounded. This is actually a change. I don't think this used to hit grounded in Dangan 7. Now it flips them over on the ground, which is very, very strong. So flips them over on the ground, instant tornado on hit. And so if someone spring kicks, for example, even in that situation, this will just tornado. So this is very strong. Even though it's an instant tornado, which is kind of a nerf, right? Because in Tekken 7, you could still do the tornado mechanic, basically. But even though it is that insta-screw, the damage here is still pretty decent. It's less, definitely less, but the damage is still decent. I think you can still get like at least 65 damage or something like that if you do the correct combo. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, you have to be very, very careful about this move. That's a shit combo. But yeah, be very, very careful. Because on block, it's also safe. It's -7. It is indeed -7. Yeah, Feng's combos don't really need a tornado anyway, so it's very, very good. The way you beat this usually is you sidestep it. So sidestepping is good, but the Feng player usually will dash into it. So they're gonna dash into this move. So it's gonna be hard to sidestep this. It also recovers very quickly. That was not a punish, for example. That's not a punish. Yep. Thought this game didn't have safe launch, mate. Well, you were wrong. It does. It indeed does. Safe normal hit launchers. Fang is one of them that has it. This is one of the reasons he's so strong. He's very, very good. And now let's talk about his new mid. Back 3. Which is also very, very good. So back 3 is a 22 frame mid. It's a little bit on the slower side, but it's plus frames. It's +6 on block, knockdown on hit, and guaranteed 4-4-3 on counter hit, basically. This does a lot of damage. Let me actually showcase the damage. There we go. That's basically the damage, which is 53. That's a lot of damage. So you have to be very, very careful. I mean, very careful about this. The way you beat this, usually, is you have to sidestep to the left. And when you play against Fang, you have to sidestep to the left most of the time, instead of to the right. Because this move has a bit of tracking to the right, for example. But if you sidestep left block, it won't track. If you sidestep right block, it will track. And sidestep left beats something like down forward ones as well. So sidestep left block is very, very good to do, or sometimes sidewalk left can also be good. But if you block this, then you have to expect the same kind of mix-up as down forward 1. They might down forward 1, back 4. You won't see back 1 as much because they're too much plus. They don't need the back 1. So down forward 1, back 4. They might down 4. They might down 2 for a low. Down back 3. Those kind of options. Headbutt basically is what you're gonna see when it comes to these kind of mind games. Gotta be careful about that. So yeah, very strong move, this one. This knee. Okay. What else when it comes to mids? Oh, this. How did I forget? Right, I think we're falling. So down forward 2. I think it's 2-2. It's also an amazing, amazing move. It got nerfed a bit, but it's still very strong. So it has very decent range. Double mid. You can't really do anything against it. You can't even punish it. I mean, parry it, not punish it. It's -6. And so the wall splash. Right? Is this right? Oh, the sidestepping mechanic. Sometimes it can work, but most of the time you have to actually just memorize it. It's not the general rule. So, yeah. This move, very strong, especially at the wall. And it's only -6, which means that if you think that you can press something like down back 4 after it, you are gonna get back 1. If you think you're gonna check him with something, you might get Kempo'd. So it's very, very strong because of many, many reasons. One is the property on hit. Second is that you can't punch parry it either. The second hit is not parryable. It just jails. And the third one is the block property. I think you can sidestep this. More or less you can sidestep this. Yep. But the second one tracks really well, unless you sidewalk it. Right? So be very, very careful about this kind of stuff. And Fang players will use this usually at the wall. And this is also what I call a parry setup. So there are a few parry setups. Since I think I'm done with the mids, right? Let me just think a little bit. More or less done. They sometimes use this as well, 4-2-1. But it's a little bit rare. Other than that, and outside of the stances... Oh, this mid, I should talk about this one. That's a check. So let's talk about this tracking move. And I think that's going to be it for mids. So when Fang players kind of want to catch you stepping, they use this tracking move right here. Which is a safe tracking move with an amazing range. Basically, it's an unbeatable move. There were moves like this in Tekken 7 as well, and they still aren't Tekken 8. Which what I call is something that you cannot beat unless you counter it. So an unbeatable move. Can't backdash it, can't sidestep it. Safe on block. It's a little bit on the slower side, so you can sometimes counter hit it, right? But there's a very good on-hit property, which guarantees, I think it's 3-4 or 3. This right here, it guarantees this kick, which deals decent damage. So you have to be very careful about getting hit by this. So it's a very strong move, and I mean a very strong move. Be very, very careful when it comes to this. And this is one of the options Fang players have when it comes to, you know, stopping you from stepping. One of them, anyway. Yeah. I think that's it for mids, more or less. Now let's talk about some of the lows. So down 4 I already talked about. And now let's transition and talk about down 2. Which is one of his best mids. Not mids, lows. So down 2 is -1 on hit. Forces crouch for Fang, not for you. And it's nerfed, actually. Since it doesn't have a counter property anymore. Which is really, really good because the counter property was very strong. Right? But other than that, it tracks really well to his left side. When you sidestep block, sometimes it'll track you. Your sidewalks would avoid it. But it has decent tracking, basically. Usually you want to sidewalk it instead of sidestepping. And the situation on hit usually revolves around the while standing 4, while standing 1 after it, full crouch low, or while standing 2, which are the most common options. So the mind game here is basically the 2 option is there for something like jab tricks. If you try to jab this, because you know you're plus here, plus 1, usually you want to jab this. The 2 option will counter launch you. That's a counter launcher. And a normal hit is a knockdown now too, which is a buff, which is, I don't know, crazy. It's very crazy. It's a very good move, while staying 2. I guess I should have added this into the list of mids that are very good as well. But this is a while standing move. Maybe I'll mention this a little bit later. So while standing 2 is an amazing, amazing mid that comes out from while standing though. So after down 2, that's one of the best options. Because if you do a jab check like Kazuya 1-1, you are gonna get counter hit. It's very, very good. Because it's also safe, -7. And this is one of the parry setups that I talked about as well. So the previous parry setup that I talked about was down 4-2-2. So down 4-2-2 on block into punch parry. If you try to punch, you're gonna get parried. Right? Parry setup. It's exactly the same with this. This block punch parry. It's a parry setup. So be aware of that. You try to always, you know, punch after it. Other than that, while staying 2 is a very, very strong option for some other reasons as well. It tracks really well with both sides. But you can sidewalk it if you time your sidestep correctly. But you cannot sidestep it. You have to sidewalk it. And you go to the left. You go to the right, it will track you. But yeah, the tracking on this move is actually very, very strong. Very strong. But sometimes it will track your sidewalk left as well. Like right now it's tracking you. Right now it's not. So you have to be careful about timing your sidewalk. But the wall thing 2 is very strong. Yeah, it's counter to only launch. And it's a knockdown, which is also a wall splat. A normal hit, which is crazy. I don't know why this exists. I don't know why. But yeah, it's very strong. So that's one of the options. While staying force here basically to stop you pressing anything slow. So if you try to check with a mid, let's say down force 4, that will stop you. But this is also steppable to the left. So if you sidewalk left after down 2, it's a pretty good option. Not bad at all. There's also this low option, which is also sidewalkable to the left. And the thing for Kazuya players that's very important to remember is that this low became -13. This was not -13 before from what I remember. It is -13 now. So as a Kazuya player, or if you're playing any other character with a good 13 frame punish, you punish it with your 13 frame while standing rule. For us it's Twin Pistons, so it's a good punish. Well, if you sidewalk, you also get, you know, a big whiff. Make sure to use a mid though to punish, because Feng player is crouching here. So that's one of the options. The most common option I see, one of the most common ones, is while standing 1. This can also be stepped to the left. So sidewalk left is an amazing, amazing option after down 2. For example, it's very, very good. I like it personally. Because a lot of stuff whiffs. But the Fang player can obviously abuse your sidestep and just keep pressuring you and maybe do down 2 to another down 2. So basically keep on the pressure. So you have to be very careful about stuff like that. Okay. What's the other option? Yeah, down 2 I mentioned. You can't really beat this unless, you know, you either see it coming, you block it, you press a button. That's basically the only way, because you can't really sidestep it. Down 2 back 4. You can't down 2 back 4 since Fang is full crouch. I mean, you can crouch cancel back 4, which maybe you'll see sometimes, but not that much. Usually it's the 2. And you might also see the 3 sometimes as well. So down 2 into while standing 3. If this is if they get a little bit impatient and want to get a higher reward, right? But this is also sidewalkable to the left, but it's not steppable to the left. So if you do decide to go to the left, sidewalk. Do not sidestep. Because the Fang player might, you know, look at you, see the sidestep and do while standing 3 just to, you know, track you. Because it tracks well. As you guys can see, it tracks well. But the sidewalk, it won't track. Sidewalk left, amazing option against Fang in almost any situation. Almost any situation. Okay. So while standing 2 I did talk about. That was down 2 as a low. I guess that's it for down 2. Oh, and one more thing I also wanted to say was when I was mentioning while standing 2, I was talking about power mids, right? So when it comes to power mids, not power mids, strong mids in general that Fang has. One of the ones that I had to mention was while standing 1. And this is very strong, so I want to mention this now before I go into the next low. The while standing 1 is very, very strong because it can come out from his crouch dash like this, right? And this has infinite range. Basically infinite range because I can just delay it as much as I want and press it as late as possible just to reach my opponent, right? It's a 13 frame mid check that's very, very far reaching and has follow-ups. So let's talk about while staying 1 by itself for now. Like that. So this is a -3. 13 frame mid. That is infinite range, right? As I said, infinite range. You cannot backdash this. And when you sidestep it, it's steppable normally. But it's because of the wave dash realignment like that, it usually tracks you. Usually you won't be able to step this. So be very careful when it comes to stepping a Feng in the neutral in general. Most of the time that will just track you very well and hit you. Just like this. But yeah, while staying 1 is -3, but it has mind games, right? So -3 basically means that they can do, you know, jabs or something fast like back 1, or something high crushing like down back 3 or down 2. Usually that's what you will see. But the main mind game here is the 1-2. Because if you try to press after it, not usually you just try to step after it, the 2 might catch you. I think the 2 is delayable, I didn't delay it enough. Is it? I forgot. It's not, it's just jails. Is that a change? I don't remember. But yeah, it just jails there. I think the main mind game here with 1-2 is with the 3rd hit. I thought this was delayable. I remembered wrong. But yeah, this jails. So even if you mash jab afterwards, this will just jail. Even if he does this or if he does this. So mashing jab may work from time to time. But the main mind game here is the 3rd hit. I didn't remember that it wasn't delayable. Okay. I think the 3rd hit is delayable. So if you try to jab here... Yeah, that's what I remembered. The 3rd is delayable. There we go. If you try to jab here, let's say you just mash jab, you're gonna get countered by this. That's basically the main mind game. Because usually this is -12, the double mid. But that last one, the last mid, is -14. So if you do block it, get a good punish in. I think this is a nerf. I think this also used to be -12. So if you're like really, really onto it, really on point, you can electric it as well. If you're playing Lars, you should launch it, Brian, launch it. You understand, it's -14. But it's hard to electric. The block stand is a little bit weird here. So yeah, remember that. This is -12, that's -14, and the mind game basically consists of you either punishing this or getting countered by this. So I'll be very careful about that. Other than that, just while staying 1 is also very strong. But because jab is such a strong option against it, like just doing a 1-1, you'll see like something like down 2 or down back 3 after it a lot, which is, you know, his high crushing options. Or you might see him ducking or Kempoing after like this into Kempo. Right? Stuff like this. Or something that will high crush usually, like a jab crush. I'm pretty sure Fang players will know. But yeah, while saying 1 is very, very strong because of that. And I mean very, very strong. Okay, now let's go back to lows. And I mentioned this and this, which is one of the best lows he has, but let's mention down back 3, which is kind of his main low. So this is a 17 frame low. Instantly crushes things. It's very, very fast crushing basically. Fast crushing low. And +4 on hit. It is launch punishable at -15, and you can also sidewalk it to the left now a little bit more consistently than Tekken 7, right? But you have to make sure you have to punish it with the mid. Like down back 1, down forward 1-2, both of them work. Both of them are good to punish with. But the big thing about this move is that for Gaz, you cannot launch it with a strong launcher. You need to do a TP. It's exactly -15. Something like while staying 2 won't work. So you have to TP it. Even though our TP doesn't do much damage, you know, as much damage as while staying 2, you still have to do the TP. But other than that, let's talk about the situation on hit. So the on-hit situation is kind of similar to the on-hit situation on down 2. But the big difference is you won't be able to interrupt with jabs. So something like this into this is now jab interruptible. This into 4, not jab interruptible. This into 2, also not interruptible, I think, because of the crushing. Let me actually check this. Not jab. I forgot your forced crouch. So that's also the main difference about this. This forces crouch. How did I forget? So yeah, this forces crouch. So you can't really do a jab. If you do a down jab, you will actually beat this. But you won't beat something like this or something like while staying 4. And you usually don't want to get countered by while staying 4 because that happens. That's a lot of plus frames. There's nothing guaranteed there for Fang, but that's a lot of plus frames. And other than that, Fang players usually either do another while standing 3 there. So while standing 3 into while standing 3. Not while standing 3. Down back 3. Right? To just keep on the pressure. Or crouch cancel down 2. Or just sidestep into a hop kick to, you know, bait something out of you. Or sidestep into a shoulder. Stuff like this. Which is their, you know, main punish options. So you have to be careful about down back 3. The main change, I think, what this mix-up has, and what down 2 also has, which I forgot to mention, is, just so I will transition immediately to the strongest low he has now, is Hell Sweep. The full crouch down forward 4 option, which is the most toxic move I've ever seen, to be honest. One of the most toxic lows ever in the game, in my opinion. So this low is a full crouch move. It's basically like a Hell Sweep, because it's a full crouch 4-1, and this is guaranteed, right? Plus 6 for Fang, 25 damage, and instant mix-up, right? You're minus 6, you're gonna get mixed up. So now why do I think this move is so strong? So one, it immediately becomes a mix-up after this, right? Unless you're, you know, brave enough to challenge, which usually you shouldn't be that much. Because, you know, he has options like this to counter launch you. Which is, you know, pretty scary. It's pretty damn scary. And down jab isn't really a good option against that to you know, get away from situations sometimes. So let's talk about this move right here. So this is a setup for it. Down back 3 into Hell Sweep. But it's a minus 8 low that leaves Fang back turned. What does that mean? So minus 8 back turned basically means that you can only punish this with 14 frames. So something like Jin while standing 2 will punish this and launch it, and something like TP will also work against it, right? But the big thing about that move is that it doesn't stagger him like a Hell Sweep would, and also the TP doesn't give that much because it's a back turned combo unless he turns around, you know, try to block and turn around, or try to power crush. Oh, and the other thing about this move is it's also mix up on hit, not hit, on block. So if you block this, you actually have to guess if the Fang player is gonna do this higher or not, because if you try to punish, you're gonna get hit. This is gonna get patched, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I'm losing hope. But you have to guess on block. And you cannot do while standing 2 on with either. Because, you see, I never punish it. That was a punish, but I was just super fast. That was not a punish. It recovers very fast. You can do something like this as well, if you're like predicted. But this will basically get blocked if the Fang player is just blocking after the first hit, back turn, or power crush through. You can also get power crush through. And you can down jab. Yeah, down jab works. I think down 2 also works. But I'm not sure if it's an option select actually. That's funny, let me actually check. It is, okay. It is actually an option select. But I actually can't get anything guaranteed afterwards, so. It's so dumb. It's very dumb. This is one of the most brain dead moves. This move right here. It's very strong. And this move can be performed in the neutral as well, very, very easily, just like while standing 1. Because while standing 1 comes out of crouch dash, you can also do something like crouch dash Hell Sweep, right? Like this. And the dumb thing about this move, the crouch dash hell sweep, is that it tracks. It's tracking. You can't step this. The tracking hell sweep. Tracking hell sweep doesn't stagger. Mix up on block. 25 damage, by the way, if you finish this to 1. And, you know, a pretty strong mix-up with +6. Crazy. This is a very strong move. It's super strong. And when he does this, he gets you a mix-up with back turned as well. So normally +6 into mix-up, right? This +6 standing mix-up. Something like down forward 1, down back 3, down 2, down forward 3. Those are kind of the moves you might expect, the moves I already covered. But now comes the dreaded back turned mix-up that you should kind of respect. Right? Because Fang back turned can be scary. So one of the best things he can do is throw you. Now why is it one of the best things? Well, it's tracking. We all know throws are tracking. 1, it's tracking. 2, it can counter hit you. 3, it's a mix-up. So Feng is one of the few characters in the game that have a back-turned throw mix-up. And now it tracks. Fun, right? So, yeah, back-turned throws. This is a 1+2 break. And this is a 1 or 2 break. So it's a mix-up, 50-50. And you cannot tell the difference between the two. Normally you can see the hands, right? 2 hands coming out, 1 hand coming out. Back-turned, you cannot see the difference. They look the same. You have to guess. So it's very, very strong. That's one of the best options he has, right? Let's say you don't want to guess, so you duck. He also has a mid for you, because obviously he does. Right? 1+2. So let's actually see what this does. 1+2 here. So it's a +8 mid. Does 20 damage, decent damage. Counter hit gives him a free shoulder here. Right? Pretty decent damage. And tracks. Both ways. Right? Amazing. You can counter hit it. But surprise, surprise, he's back turned. You can't counter hit it. So, yeah, very strong move. You can actually do something like a 1-2 here. And as you can 1-2-4-3 this particular situation. But, as I said, it's not always worth it to press this. Sometimes you respect it, especially if you press jabs. But now, why are jabs so bad to do here? Well, it's because this move exists. Not this one. I think it's 3. There we go. Which is a high crushing snake edge, basically. That's also a mix-up. This is a pure mix-up, by the way, if you're close enough. If you're a little bit far like this, it's not a mix-up because, you know, it's not a launcher. But if you're close enough, let's say this happens, you are gonna get launched. 18 frames, low, basically like a snake edge that the normal hit launches. And you cannot jab it. That's why jabs aren't that good of an option most of the time. Try to jab, fuck you, Feng says. No, don't jab me. I launch you for free. So not only is this a launch, it's also a mix-up and it's a high crush. Yeah, it's 18 frames. It is. Because of course it is. Why not? You cannot react to this. No matter who tells you it's reactable, you cannot react to this. It's very BS. Okay, so that's one of the options, right? See, so he also has a 1 check, which is basically checking you if you want to press or step. So this into jab. Is there a check, like a high check, which will check your jabs as well? Not only that, snake edge, it's not the only option they have. So if they want to stay safe, they can do this. It will check your side steps, unless you sidestep to the right, which is one of the few exceptions, to be honest. But if you do anything else, like a jab or sidestep left, you're gonna get caught. So you have to be careful. Oh, also I forgot. This recovers very quickly. I mean, very quickly. Right? And it's also only -3. But the big thing about this move, which is the biggest property it has, is that on hit, this is guaranteed. that's guaranteed. You can't do anything about this. Yeah, it's free. I was just about to say it. It's plus 14 shoulder. This is guaranteed. And it's especially scary in heat because this into this is guaranteed. And the heat dash is also guaranteed. So be very, very careful about his back turn mix-ups. Sometimes they like pressing 1+2 a lot. Maybe challenge that because you can't do anything else. What else are you gonna do? Oh, and I almost forgot about the biggest buff this got. So from what I remember, this used to be -7. It's either -7 or -5. It used to be something like that. I think -5 most likely. And what that meant that you could actually punish this with certain moves. Like if you had the 12 frame mid, it was a punish, for example. But it's -3 now. So GG, well played. You can still punish it. Well, I don't think you can still punish it actually. I think turning around is way faster, so you can't punish it anymore. It was a punish mix-up in -7, but yeah, GG, well played, not anymore, -3. So not even the punish mix-up is there. So be very, very careful about this. Do I upload this on YouTube? Yes, this is a YouTube speed lab basically. I upload these on YouTube. Okay. So that's one of the options, and I almost forgot one of the most toxic ones is a power crush. So back turn power crush is a very, very strong option they have, because this also beats any kind of jab retaliation. Unless you do something like, you know, 1-1 or just a jab to block afterwards. But the good thing about this move is that you can sidestep it to the left, but you cannot sidestep it to the right. Which is the opposite of 1, back turn to 1. Because this has pure tracking. Look at the tracking. How does that hit me? You ask that, but I don't know the answer. It just hits me. It just does it. And it's -13, but if you sidestep block, suddenly it's -11. So always back 1 to punish it, basically. Always back 1 to punish it. You do block it. So be careful about that. And that move also works on block. So let's say I block this, right? And I do something like, I don't know, while staying 2. Doesn't work. Or let's say I delay my while staying 1-2. That suddenly it doesn't work. So be very, very careful about that setup. It's very, very scary. And this not only works as a mid mix-up, like it serves the purpose of a mid mix-up because it's fast enough. So this and this can be seen as a mix-up. Just like this is a mix-up. Just like, you know, this is also a mix-up. So it's very crazy. It's very, very crazy. This back turn is very strong. So be very careful about that. And if he wants another like slower mid, which is not a mix-up anymore because it's so slow, but it's plus frames, he can't do this as well. So yeah, be very careful. Okay, what else to talk about other than this back turn? I want to talk about Kempo as well, the Kempo stuff. But I'm still thinking if I missed something here. I think more or less that's it. More or less. Shifting. This I know. Shifting clouds. Basically this and this. These two stances. First, let's talk about Kempo. So Kempo, this stance is an evasive stance that basically does a free backdash for him. Like this backdash, you know this backdash? This does a free one. Free backdash. I think it's even better than the backdash. Covers a little bit more distance. And what this does is evades your moves and then punishes it with a forward sway, like forward momentum move like this one, for example. So that's what the Feng players will usually try to do. They'll try to evade some of your moves. Let's say they do 1-2 into Kempo, evade something, and then launch you with a 3. The thing to remember about stuff like this is to, when you block this, you always punish it. It's -14 now though, instead of launch punishable like it used to be. You can electric this, but the timing on the electric is a little bit iffy. So it's not that consistent to electric. So back 1-2, down back 1-2, basically punish it consistently. The other option they use to whiff punish is the 2. This got nerfed a bit because this used to give a free shoulder. But now it's a heat engager. If you duck it, you can launch it, obviously. But on block, it's safe. It's a high, right? So it's safe. It's -9. Other than that, these are basically the only whiff punishment tools they have. Not they have, but they do. But if they see that you're not whiffing, maybe they're gonna do the 1, which is their low, basically. Kind of like a mix-up. Which is decent tracking because of the Kempo realigning sometimes. But you can sidestep it to the left most of the time. But as I said, the tracking is still decent. It's not bad. But if you do duck it, make sure to TP it. -13. You have to make sure to TP it. And I almost forgot. I just remembered that he got a new low from here. This right here. I almost forgot. So in this mix-up, back-turn mix, I forgot because it's a new low. He also has this down 1 option, which is another low mix-up, right? So be aware of this as well. It's basically the same move that I just talked about, the Kempo 1. Exactly the same move. You TP it if you block it. It's +4. Forces crouch on hit. So be very, very careful about this. Basically another low mix-up. Not like he needs it. Like he has this as a low mix-up. This as a low mix-up. And basically the throws is exactly like a throw mix-up. Exactly like it. Which just mixes you up another time with a 50-50. And he has mids like this, you know, which is strong. The power crush, which is good. The 3 sometimes, not 3, that 3 sometimes. So it's good, basically. Good character, good character. So yeah, be careful about that. And the thing about this is that on counter it also guarantees a stomp. It doesn't guarantee that. It guarantees a stomp from what I know. But you have to crouch cancel it. Yeah, be very careful about that. And the new addition about the Kempo is that this has a hell sweep now. We all know everything has a hell sweep now, right? So Kempo 4, 1+2, hell sweep. Is that 1+2 or 2? Or 1? It says 1+2. So Kempo for 1+2. I messed up. It's a hell sweep. So if he sees you're close enough, he might just throw this out. And unlike the full crouch move, this actually staggers. Thankfully. But be very careful about this. Because that second hit might catch you off guard. It is a high. It is a low high. Be careful about that. What else to talk about? Sometimes you will see this as well. One thing about this move in particular, the Kempo 3+4, that I really need to mention, is that it has a very special getup after it. So if you block it, you're +7. But Fang players have a special getup. I don't know how to actually do this. Maybe up forward. 3+4. There you go. This getup right here. This getup might catch you. I see a lot of people getting caught by this, right? You try to check it. Let's say I do down forward. Nope. Get caught. Back 2. Nope. Maybe jabs. Nope. So this is basically their option for you checking them. The way you beat it is you literally expect it. You expect it and punish it. Electric it. But you have to be quick about it. You have to be very quick about it because it recovers very quickly. But those kind of situations, you expect that getup, those kind of getups, and punish it. Immediately punish it. You don't let him get away with it. Yeah. So that's about Kempo more or less. Let's talk about Shifting Clouds, this one. So this move got a little bit buffed from the previous patch. Now, this move, even parries 2 hits, like 1-2. It's a normal hit launcher with a punch parry effect, right? Not only a punch parry, just a parry effect. Of course, something like knees won't work. But everything else gets parried. If 2 of it gets parried, you get launched. So that's the big buff that I got. Okay, so that's something you have to really remember about this stance. And the moves he has is either this one, which is the power crush option he has, you know, which beats your checks but it's launch punishable, so you won't see it that much. The 3, which is the tracking move, you won't see this that much either. The 4, which is their low, and 1+2, which is their mid option. So basically the mix-up of this consists of 1+2 and 4, more or less, to make it very simple. So let's talk about these two moves. So the Cloud's 1+2 is a -9 mid, forces crouch, and knocks down on normal hit. Doesn't have a counter property, but its normal hit property is pretty damn strong. That guarantees a stomp, I'm pretty sure. So this, stomp, that's guaranteed. It's pretty strong. And the option for the low is the 4. And it is -13, right? So it's very, very important to TP this as well. It kind of looks that your TP might whiff. You know, sometimes I'm afraid of it whiffing, but it usually doesn't. So just TP it. Yeah, nice combo. Triple jab. But yeah, TP that. And normally, the most common way Fang players use this stance, you won't be able to sidestep the options anyway. Like for example, this is a bit steppable. It is definitely steppable, but most of the time you won't be able to step it. So stepping it isn't really worth it anyway. The way Fang players will use this, it won't be steppable. The most common thing that you will encounter with this move is after heat smash, which I will talk about in a bit. I'll talk about heat in a bit. Okay. I think that's it, right? About this stance too. I think that's it. The one thing I wanted to add is his backswing blow. So his backswing blow is a panic move basically. That will, you know, crush a lot of mid checks. Like this for example, right? We'll just crush it. And if you get counter hit, you will get comboed. But the big thing about this move is that it doesn't track that well to the right, and you can also sidewalk it to the left. If you sidestep it, it will track, actually. But it's -15. So if you block it, try to electrocute. But make sure the block stun doesn't confuse you sometimes. Sometimes it can happen. It's not that easy to electric, even -15 moves. You may mess up. There we go, that was a punish. Yeah, be careful. Sometimes you don't even need to do an electric there. Because most of the time when Fang players do this, they have very low HP. Most of the time. It's either you have very low HP or they have very low HP. And I think 70% or 80% of the time, they are the ones who have low HP. Because they want to, you know, catch you trying to check them. So be patient and punish it with something consistent. You don't need to electrocute all the time. If it kills them, why not do a down forward 1-2 or down back 1-2? Okay. Now let's talk about his heat state. Okay. So his heat. So his heat adjusts some of his moves. One of the moves that gets adjusted is back 1. So instead of back 1 being a counter hit launcher, it's a knockdown. It's a normal hit knockdown now. So for example, if you do something that's -10, they can do this and punish you with this, which can be pretty strong. So be careful about back 1 checks and heat. But I think the biggest thing that the heat gives him is a shoulder into the, what's this called? Heat dash. This is one of the biggest things. This is a 13 frame move that comes out in one hit into a +5 situation, +5 situation. And deals decent damage on hit. I think down forward 3 is guaranteed here, for example, or forward 4-3. Pretty decent damage. So be very, very careful about that. And you won't be able to step it most of the time too. So as I said, yeah, be very careful. And the second most powerful thing that he has, not second, but one of the most powerful things, is I think this the input. What's the input? 3+4. There we go. This move right here. This is one of the best things he has in heat. So heat 3+4. Now why is it so strong? So this move is what our Devil Stomp is supposed to be. You guys know this, right? Useless ass move. This is actually blockable. So that move that Feng has is what the Devil Stomp is supposed to be. So he jumps up, becomes +12, back turn the mix-up in your face, right? Unless you're a little bit far, obviously. If you're a little bit far, it's not too in your face. But usually it's gonna be in your face. Mix-up, back turn. So all the things that I talked about back turn and the back turn mix is gonna apply here. And it's a mid. So if you do duck it, let's say you duck this. GG, well played. He does a back turn 3 and does a lot of damage on you. So unlike this, which is a low, it's duckable. It's launch punishable, by the way. This is launch punishable if you duck it. Amazing move. This is the mid that guarantees a back turn mix-up because it's plus 12. The way you deal with this, usually, the best way to deal with it, is you actually react to it, which is very hard to do. This is super, super hard to do. I do not recommend doing this much. But this is the only way you actually deal with it, because you can't sidestep it. It's not steppable. It's tracking, both sides. And you can't jump it either, because it's not low. Right? Can't do it. This is the only way you can kind of deal with it. You can't react to it, because it's a little bit on the slower side. With it being, 32 frames. So if you can react to it, you should. Definitely should. Maybe even practicing reacting to it may be worth it. But you have to predict it to react to it. Because if you are a little bit late, you are going to get hit for like 60 damage. And that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot. Yeah, it's a very strong move. The other thing to talk about his heat is also his heat smash. So his heat smash is a mid-mid. It comes out decently fast. Well, actually not that decently fast. I thought it was faster. But yeah, 20 frames fast. You can sidestep it, but you have to make sure that when you step it, you wait for the second hit to punish. Right? Step, and then punish. Because even on whiff it comes out. But the big thing to remember here is that on block, he transitions into a plus 12 mix-up in this stance, Shifting Clouds, which I already covered, right? And I already said that the main mix-up here is going to be either the 4 or the 1+2. This is going to be the main mix-up. And since this is plus 12, this means you cannot either Rage Art it, Power Crush it, or do anything against it. I think you can punch parry it, but that's about it. Let me actually showcase the punch parry. Hopefully that will come out. Yep. See that? It is punch parryable. But you cannot Rage Art it. Remember, no Rage Arts or Power Crushes. They will not work, because you only have 6 frames here. But parries will work, because parries are usually faster. Okay. Yeah, you can't punish with a hop kick, no. It is a mid. You can't punish it, you're minus. You're in the mix-up. He's the one mixing you up. Okay. I think that's about it. Is that it? I'm trying to think of something I might have forgotten. I most likely have forgotten some things, as I usually do. I can't talk about everything. But I think that's it. Should be okay. For this vid, should be okay. And it actually took an hour. Okay, it did take an hour. But yeah, YouTube, big thank you for watching, guys. Big thank you for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. It was a little bit. And till the next one.